Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing, sister?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. May I know what's your name, please?
Faiza.
Faiza. Faiza, this is your Islamic name. What was your name before?
Rebecca Danielle Zucherman.
MashaAllah. May I know where are you from?
I was born in Miami in the United States, and my dad is Russian Jew. He's German or Russian Jew, somewhere around there. And my mom is Spanish.
MashaAllah. Yeah, and how long have you been Muslim?
I took shahada when I was around 20 years old, which is about 6-7 years ago.
MashaAllah. Yeah, and I was going to ask you, how did you start to learn about Islam? How was your life before Islam as a Jewish? I mean, that's interesting.
It was very typical Jewish. I mean, we were not by any means Orthodox. We were your typical New York Jews. You know, we kept kosher and we celebrated Hanukkah, and you know, maybe we weren't very practicing, but we were Jewish. It was more of an identity, like a bloodline versus like a religious thing. So yeah.
MashaAllah. And how did you start to learn about Islam?
I think, you know, my mom is actually Catholic. My dad is Jewish, and so I always had an interest in religion. And about 13 years old, I took a world religion class, and that's probably when I was first introduced to some of the ideas of Islam. I remember at a young age, my mom told me that Muslims didn't believe Jesus was the son of God, but they believed he was a prophet. And so that idea kind of stuck with me, I guess, you know, as I got older.
What were you practicing? I mean, this is you know, a wild combination. You know, Christian with a Jew, Catholic with Jew. You know, I was like, you know, how did you try? You know, were you like going on Saturday to the place where the Jew at, and Sunday going to the church?
It was, you know, my mom was very respectful of, I think more than my parents, it was their families who would push one religion or the other. My parents were very respectful of each other. My dad let my mom do what she needed to do. My mom made sure that, you know, there was kosher meat in the house, and on Hanukkah we celebrated Hanukkah and played with the dreidel, and on Christmas we opened Christmas presents. So, you know, the best of both worlds, I suppose.
SubhanAllah. I was going to ask you now, how did you start to learn about Islam?
Like I said, I took a world religion class at 13. And that caught my idea, you know, some of the ideas caught my attention.
Right.
And then later on, I was 19, 20, maybe just turned 20, and, you know, had some friends sneak me into a Spanish nightclub. And so while I was there, I met a bunch of non-practicing Muslim Moroccan guys, and one day afterwards, we all decided, a big group of us, to go get a bite to eat at you know, this Muslim-owned Arab restaurant. And while I was there, the guy who had the keys to the car and me got in a big fight, and so him and his friends decided to take off and just leave me there at the restaurant. And alhamdulillah, Allah is merciful, the waitress was a Muslim, and so she said, you know, now it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you might as well just come home and spend the night at my house. So we went back to her house and started talking about Islam. We started talking about some of the misconceptions of the media and things like that. It was after 9/11, so, you know, by that point everybody knew, you know, they thought they knew anyway about Muslims. I was one of them who thought I understood, and I did not. So as we started talking, that kind of provoked my interest. More than anything, it was the culture. I loved the music. I loved the, you know, the things that I associated with Islam,
right,
but was more of maybe like an Arab culture.
The Arab culture.
The Arab culture. So.
And your husband is not Arab.
No, my husband is not an Arab. No, but he was raised in Abu Dhabi, so he's yeah.
Of course, you met her after.
Yeah, I met him. We've been married for 2 years now. So.
Oh, okay.
So I've been Muslim
way
for,
after.
Yeah.
Because many people, they say, you know, they say or they throw that accusation on the girls. Oh, you became Muslim because you loved an Arab Muslim guy or something like that.
But you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings people into Islam all different kind of ways. The important thing, I think, is that as you change your life and you start living the way of Islam, whether you met through a Muslim man or you met through some other way, as you live your life as a Muslim, Allah or God will give you those blessings and that understanding so that later it really comes into your heart. And that was my experience. I mean, when I became Muslim, I didn't have the maturity at the time to really understand what I was getting myself into. It was more of, I liked the people. They were very warm. The rebellious side of me got to eat with my fingers, and I didn't have my mom saying, "What are you doing?" So but as I got into the understanding and changed my life, and I'm praying 5 times a day, it was such a huge lifestyle change that there's actually a verse in Quran that's one of my favorite that I read recently, that when you follow the Prophet, you'll be given that guidance, something along those lines. And that, really rings true for me, because it wasn't until I started living that, example of the Prophet that I really had that understanding, those blessings. Sometimes you have to walk in somebody else's shoes, right, before you really understand it.
SubhanAllah. Now, just going back, to your story, what really hit you to say, okay, this is Islam, this is the right religion, this is my religion, this is what I want to be? So,
to be honest, that was probably after I became a Muslim already. Okay. I entered into Islam for all the wrong reasons. I thought it was really something fun to put a scarf on my head. Okay. That was exciting to me. I love the food, I love the people, and later on, as I was around the people and I met a different group that was more of the practicing Muslims, I realized that this was something that it's a beautiful lifestyle. The Prophet is, as I got to know the character of the Prophet and read the Quran and realized that there's no way this could be made up. Right. There's no way this man who had such a beautiful character would have been a liar. So as I read that and I connected with that, and I realized the truth in the Quran, both scientifically and every other way, I just realized that there was that point that I couldn't deny it even if I wanted to. So I think it was a slow, gradual process that it entered into my heart, and I said, this is, I'm a Muslim because I believe this religion is the truth.
MashaAllah. Now, how do you see your life comparing to the old life?
So much better.
So much better.
So much better. Yeah, it's a sincere, true happiness. It's a contentment and there's a purpose.
I mean, SubhanAllah. From an extreme loss to extreme, I saw yesterday you were a reason for one of the sisters to become Muslim. So, mashallah, you're a da'iyah already, and we would I know that you do da'wah within the girls. I wish that you can tell us a little bit about that.
SubhanAllah. I think that, like I said, I feel like anybody can pick up a book and read the 5 pillars of Islam, the 6 pillars of Iman. This is something that anybody, but the thing that I think is most beautiful in Islam is the rights that are given to the people, whether it be to your parents, whether it be to your brothers and sisters in Islam, to the non-Muslims, to the Muslims, that everybody is given their rights. So I think if you were to call it da'wah, I guess the thing that I try to portray is the beauty of the character of Islam. And this is my favorite thing about Islam. So.
Now, what message would you give to the world? Let's say for the non-Muslims first, and then to the Muslims.
For the non-Muslims, I would say that sometimes we think we understand and we don't. So the best way to have an understanding of Islam is to walk in the shoes of a Muslim, and to be open to that, and keep your mind open and experience it from the inside. Right. Realize that there's differences amongst every group of people, and just to have an open mind and come experience it
right.
From the inside. Yeah.
What about for the Muslims?
For the Muslims, I would say remember the rights that we have on each other, the rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has on you, and remember that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and remember that don't underestimate the smallest good deed, the smallest smile, and
ما شاء الله. جزاك الله خير. Thank you so much, sister.